What is going on, my Reefing fam? March here, this is Fragbox TV, and this is probably one of the coolest videos I've ever shot and that I have the opportunity of sharing with you guys here on the channel. We're going to take you underwater. We are at the Gilly Islands in Indonesia, and my goodness, do I have some corals and footage to share with you guys. I think as hobbyists sometimes we're a little bit disconnected, I know that I am for sure, of where these corals actually come from, how they look in their natural habitat. And the same goes for the fish. So sit back and enjoy as I take you underwater with us and show you some of the most beautiful, healthy, and incredible corals that I've seen anywhere. I hope that I have the chance to visit this place one more time in my life because it was just truly, truly incredible. Enjoy. I don't even know where to begin because there's so much footage here, but I want to tell you guys the coverage of coral, the sheer and vast amount of coral. This footage was shot over 5 different dive sites, but as far as the eye could see in many places, it's just complete coverage. And the number of species was really impressive too. In some areas we find that the bottom is just completely covered in plate corals. You can't even see any sort of substrate. And here we find plate corals living with birds' nests, sort of falling over one another, intermingled, but somehow surviving in this forest, complete just forest of coral. We find tongue corals kind of in between, and then everywhere you look, so many different species of fish. And one of my favorite things to do was to find a pair of fish, like these beautiful butterfly fish, and just watch them hang out, cruise the reef, look for food, and they're just never too far away from one another. They just work in tandem, and it's mesmerizing. We find this perfect regal angel. I struggle in the current here, so it's really hard to keep up with the fish. A few of these dives were drift dives, so really tricky to keep the camera still, even to get a shot of 4 or 5 seconds. And then I find the most stunning, I think it's a loripis, what we call a deep water acro in the hobby, with these blue tips on it. Anytime I see an acro with any color, I have to kind of separate from the group and try and get a nice shot of it. More sergeant fish than you can count, more fish in general. And this really nice, I'm seeing red, but we don't really know because I'm probably about 40 feet deep at this point, but it appears to be red. And I love to see just that tabling acro growing out like a hand into open water, just the perfect specimen. And it's so nice to look back on the reef when you look up and you just see this, it almost feels like a flock of birds above you, but it's fish, but I'm so much lower than them, and it's so cool to see them above you. Triggerfish everywhere, and lots of different types of trigger. You find some other really nice examples of acropora here with some monty in between, and everywhere you look, it's just a different species kind of over top of one another. These really funky blue sponges that are growing up, they add this beautiful blue texture to the reef. Now here, I'm not 100% sure what I found. Comment below. Maybe you see something cool in the video. You can do a timestamp and say, hey, did you see this and this at this part? I'm sure there's a lot that I've missed, or your eyes are going to pick up something else. Now here, maybe a Pasillipora or Stylophora. Look how it's growing on these concrete blocks. It doesn't really care that it's not, a rock or anything. It's going to grow on anything that it can attach to. And it's not the most colorful, but I really like seeing perfect dome examples of corals like this. Find a little brain coral down at the bottom, and then maybe some Porites mixed in with some other acro. One of my favorite things to see is a clownfish and an anemone in their symbiotic relationship. I think we saw maybe 2 or 3 on this dive here, and this one is just like a really nice big one. In one instance, I got a little bit too close, but just doing exactly what they're supposed to be doing in nature, undisturbed, the current blowing it around, and the clownfish just looks so happy. Maybe Ocellaris, maybe Procula, kind of hard to tell looking from the top. And again, the current here is just, it's so powerful. It's taking everything in me to stop getting this shot of the eel. I'm swimming with all the strength in my legs to kind of just stay still even for a second. And it really made me think how important flow is in our aquarium. These corals are getting fed all the time, getting clean, the nutrients that are passing over them. We are never going to match the power, intensity, and randomness of the current of the ocean. And I think it's a really crucial factor that a lot of hobbyists kind of don't pay enough attention to, how much current you need to keep in the tank to keep it moving. Here we find one of my favorite corals of all time, a leather coral, and he's kind of off from the reef. He's hanging out as a solitary, beautiful little specimen. Not little, he's large, but over on his own. Another nice thing to see was how much life is on the rocks. Like, this is real live rock. It's just so much sponge and little things, just so much going on. This is the other anemone I found, and I got a little bit too close to these clarkies. They didn't like it, and one of them started biting me on my forehead. Here he comes. He's saying, "Get away from me, Mr. March. I don't care about your Fragbox TV." And he just takes a little bite out of my forehead, I guess, giving me like a warning bite. "Get out of here, you loser." And it was enough for me. I don't want to bother them. You know, I'm trying to get the shot, but I'm stressing them out with doing what I'm doing. And it was kind of cool for him to just come and give me that little peck and let me know, "Buddy, this is my home, not yours." Now, I'm no expert when it comes to fish, but I was stumped so many times, so many different wrasses, so many fish I'd never seen before. And it's so hard to focus, you know, because there's so much going on. There's excitement. I'm trying to be relaxed to control my breathing because I breathe like a pig underwater. The dive is definitely limited by me. Find this beautiful little goby just hanging out on the Porites. I love finding small things, like small creatures, small fish, small invertebrates. It's something so satisfying about that little animal. So usually by the end of the dive, I'm at 50 bar. My girlfriend would have double what I have. It's like she's not even breathing underwater. Look at this beautiful little Valentini puffer. And I love when I see corals that I don't know. This is what I've been doing all of my life. I love them. And when I encounter something that I have to like really stop and look at, is that a Montipora? Is it an Echinopora? I don't know what I'm looking at. That's my favorite. That is my absolute favorite. Now, this coral needs no introduction. It is the Kenya tree. But check out the Monty growing right up against it. There's so much of this soft coral. This is one coral that I would not feel bad harvesting from the ocean. We're probably doing the reefs a favor because there's just such a tremendous amount. I'm going to show you towards the end of these videos. These are the feather starfish I was talking about. We'd find sometimes a rock just covered in the middle of this massive anemone. If you look dead center, the brown one. And then these feather starfish are just so beautiful. Like, I didn't realize that they got so large. Now, this piece here, I don't know exactly what it is. I thought maybe Cyphastria. It was one of the few things that was really bright, lots of color. Another really nice acro, and it's so nice to see all the little fish. As you get close, they get scared and they dive right into it. There's so many animals living within the acro, basically feeding it all day. Now, this was such a profound trip for me. When I was underwater, the only thing I could think of was don't touch, just really enjoy it. And I came back from the trip and I didn't want to sell any more fish. I just had this epiphany underwater that I don't have the right to take any of them and sell them for profit. Now, I'm not trying to ride some sort of moral high horse and say anything bad about any other stores that are out there. Just I made this personal decision all within a matter of seconds that said I'm not doing this anymore. We lose a lot of fish that we import from the wild, and they never ask to be taken. They never ask to be removed from where they live and put into an aquarium. And it was just a decision that I made, like in a half a second. This wave of conservation came over me, and as soon as I got back to the hotel, I took all the fish off the website, put up a thing that says we no longer sell captive bred fish. And we don't. From that day forward, it just completely stopped, and it was because of this dive in particular. I've been blessed with 15 years of success selling mostly coral. You know, the fish for us was always such a small part, so I thought, you know, we don't need to do everything. Anyways, this is just perfect example of this anemone, and we have some little skunk clowns that are doing their things. There's actually a lot of little ones in there that we don't see in this shot. And here the current was really strong. This might have been our drift dive. This is another coral that stumped me. Now, I've never seen it before, never seen the hobby. Obviously, it's probably about 3 or 4 feet in every direction, and it's got this super cool kind of crater, and then looks like a maze brain on the outside. If you know what it is, please comment below, because that was just, it looks like a big old vase, so much digitata. I think it's digi. We find red, green, and purple varieties intermingled, and these fields go as far as the eye can see. As long as you're looking out, you just see anthias, like 50 or 100 female with one male, and just coral. Again, the coral coverage, I didn't see anything dead, I didn't see anything bleached. I think I only found one large bleached acro with another acro growing on top of it. I was so pleasantly surprised with the overall health, with the color, with everything. It was like an underwater, like a dream come true. Like, I found myself in parts thinking, this can't be real. I'm living in some sort of simulation where God has just designed this beautiful, living, natural masterpiece for us to enjoy. I couldn't comprehend how there's just so much life, so much health, and that kind of ties back into why I didn't want to touch anything. Beautiful barracuda swimming overhead, just hypnotic, inspired my girlfriend. She's really afraid of them, actually. She wants to get a tattoo down her entire left shoulder. One side is a jellyfish, on the other side she wants to do a barracuda. Because she's afraid of it, so her idea is, let me get a tattoo of it. Moorish idols all over the place, and really nice to watch them kind of just hanging out. The way they eat, they slowly, they turn upside down, they'll go underneath the coral. And if you watch the fish, you can watch them eat. They're not frantic, you know. It's not like when we feed them in our tanks, they're all over the place. Well, we feed Vitalis here in the store. It's the only food that we use, that we sell, that we recommend. Here's a beautiful mantis shrimp. Check out the size of this peacock. They're really, really quick. So if you do find one, they'll kind of like, you get a couple seconds. This one just stood still for me. He said, here's your moment, March. Capture me for the frag box family. Usually you just get a couple seconds with it. Here I find a really cool blue, like maize brain, but our fish are less frantic with the Vitalis, I find, and we have a lot less fish mortality since we started using it many, many years ago. Blue coral in the hobby, very rare, and then underwater, also very rare. I'm using a GoPro, I believe it's a 13 Black HD. It was the newest one at the time, and I have this red filter on it. So the color is pretty accurate. I haven't done a lot of editing on the computer to adjust it. Christmas tree worm rock. Check out these. I thought they were only native to Australia for some reason. I thought it was like an endemic species. I was wrong. Keep that in mind when you're watching the videos. I don't know everything. I'm always learning. This hobby is never ending. I love how this piece of coral is just hanging on for dear life to the edge of this piece with digis growing right on top of it. And every different part of the reef, as we go up or go down, we find different species. And one thing that I found really surprising was the deeper that I went, so less light, more current, more acros. I was expecting in my mind to see the opposite, like lots of acropores at higher depths, but it was the opposite. The deeper I went, look at the sea fan. Here I'm about, I want to say 50 feet where I encounter this orange one hanging off to the side. And it's just like someone sketched it out and left it there. It's like a living piece of art. Oh, there we go. My apologies. 12 meters, which is 40 feet. We're at 40 feet depth right now. And that's the only one that I saw like this, with this size and color. And thankfully the current just let up for just a moment so I could spend some time to try and kind of circle it. It was so difficult, again, to capture some of these shots. I got such a leg workout, cramping by the end of the dive, you know, swimming like crazy trying to keep up. Another perfect acro. I don't have enough time with them to try and positively ID them. I wish I could. Most of them tabling. I only saw maybe one or two. Look at that. Sorry, the favia. I'm cutting myself up behind, right next to it. It's probably stinging it a little bit, but I only saw a few staghorns. Most of the acro that I found, tabling varieties, which are some of my favorites, and I think hobbyist favorites as well. This one kind of stumped, maybe Hydnophora, not 100% sure. Back into a crazy digi garden with these purple ones that are probably not digitata. It's probably red digi mixed in with some other type of Capricornus. Not 100% sure. So as we came more and more to the surface, more soft coral coverage where the light was higher and the water was warmer. Cooler water, higher current, lower light, crazy acro. I'm only certified to 60 feet, you know, but I'm looking down at the reef and I'm just blown away with how many more corals are down there. This has got to be one of the nicest dive spots in the world. Look at this beautiful lionfish just chilling out, probably looking for his lunch. Now, one of my all-time favorite fish is the blonde nasotang. He's chilling here with his friend, the sailfin, and they're just such a majestic, beautiful fish, and it's extraordinary to watch them in their habitat, how big they are. You know, it'd be cool to know exactly how old they are, maybe 10, maybe 20 years old, who knows. And I had the pleasure of finding a couple times, I think twice on this dive, were clams. Now, they're hard to see because they'll be hidden in the reef. If they're not just out and about. Look at this one. It could be a maxima, squamosa. Can't really see the side of the shell, but just barely hanging on, covered with coral on the outside, like he can hardly open. I have the urge to just go clear the coral out of the way to help him, but just beautiful to see in the wild, and really just struggling to hold on with corals kind of over top. You know, they're just going to overtake him because everyone is fighting for their fair share of the reef. Wish I could have taken a water sample just to do an ICP analysis, just out of curiosity to see what it's at. Now, you see me floating here through all this dust. This is probably fish poo, other particulate matter, reef snow, whatever you want to call it. And we find some clove polyps. Now, I saw these at higher depths. We found some at these lower depths, but just so much, you can just see the nutrients in the water. The corals are getting virtually nonstop by the ocean, by the fish, by everything that's going on in there. Now, if there was another coral I wouldn't feel bad about harvesting from these reefs, would be the clove polyps. It's the clove polyps, the Kenya tree, and the digi. Again, because there is an unlimited, it's bountiful. Use whatever word you want to describe it. I found some blue gorgonian here, dead center in the screen, and a really cool sarcophytum. You see this leather? It's tricky to see them because you see there's two more there. It's like the same color sometimes as the rock. Now, the people we're diving with are dive masters. You know, they're there for the fish, I'm there for the coral, so I'm holding them up all the time and asking to wait to try and shoot stuff, and like geeking out on things that look seemingly like boring, like this digi. No one is going to stop on a dive to look at this except for, I don't know, me, because it's like two different colors and species. I love to see corals that get along, or this maybe Porites, I'm not 100% sure, the way it's tabling off the rock. Sometimes we see certain Porites do that. Could be Monty, really not sure here, but I'm constantly holding the group up to focus in on these seemingly insignificant, but for me, kid in a candy store, 100% on the stupidest little thing. And then when we'd come up, they're asking me, what are you doing? And I have to try and explain what I saw. But anyways, this is a lot of fun too, is just focusing in on one individual fish. In this instance, it's the blonde naso, and just stalking him and trying to think, what are you doing? Where are you going? And spending time with just an individual fish is a lot of fun, because you get caught up sometimes with all of them, with the vast amount of anthias. Look how they just dive right into the coral as soon as and we find this same one I asked you guys before what it is, with a grouper kind of perching himself on it, the vase coral, or the open massive brain, whatever you want to call it. It acts like a bed for these guys. We find a very cool rock lobster hanging out. It's kind of blue. He's got these massive whiskers. That's what drew me into the rock to begin with. And he's just living his life. Sometimes we get him in the store, but they're quite small. I didn't realize they get that big. He's probably, his whiskers, or sorry, his antenna are like 2 to 3 feet across. Now, this looks like a chalice coral or Monty, one or the other. Again, hard to figure out which, but it's like shaded. It almost looks like it fell, and then it's just struggling to hang on the underside, whatever little light that it can get. It's got this big kind of necrosis spot in the middle, but it looks relatively healthy other than that, and it's growing down. It's looking for the light. Now, 6-line wrasses, I saw these everywhere. Every foot or two, you would see another one dart into the rock. Some green digitata. I'm always preaching about how good wrasses are in the aquarium for predation of pests, and just keeping everything in control. And you can see here in the water, they are virtually everywhere. You see them dive right into the acros. They're constantly looking for food, keeping them clean. This is a really, really nice specimen. Probably red, but again, at this depth, all the colors are distorted, so it's kind of hard to know for sure unless you were to take a piece, bring it back up to the surface, put it under blue light. I didn't do that anywhere. I didn't touch any of the coral on it, and I didn't want to. The digi really was the star of the show for this dive. Tremendous just fields, as like whatever you think a lot is, multiply that by 10. Now this one here, maybe Gorgonian, probably Gorgonian. I'd never seen this species before. The polyps are really funky. The coloration is really nice for this depth. Again, intermingled with other ones, but I've never seen this type of coral before. And there's so many different ones that we don't collect, that are not allowed to be collected, that are not, that are protected, and they just never make it to the aquarium hobby, which is probably good. I'm not sure what benefit it would have to the reefs if we were collecting all of them, but seeing some of these species made me kind of satisfied my morals. I struggle sometimes with that aspect of being a hobbyist, being a business owner, importing corals. We do collect wild ones, selling them for a profit. Seeing the vast amount of them did satisfy that part of my personality in some regards. We didn't see a lot of LPS, so in these areas, no acants, no blastomusas, no acanthophylias, no cinerias. We see some favias, maybe goniastria, like this blue one I'm struggling to keep up with here, cyphastrias, one goniapora, that's it. But really acropora dominated, hard coral dominated, and soft coral dominated. I think this is a blue goniastria, I think, just from the ridges, but again, it's hard to tell while moving. I really like seeing this. This is coming up on a dive. We're nearing the end. I'm just chilling out. There's no more swimming, but this separation between the two reefs here with this perfect, pristine sand. This is the kind of look that I'm always trying to create when I'm scaping a reef tip. What I call the two islands. It's kind of boring, but that separation in the rock with coral growing up the side. One final gift from the gods, stunning acropora on our way up from this dive. And this one has to be no more than maybe 15 feet. We're just doing our last, or 20 feet maybe, like our last 3-minute decompression stop. And I had time to hang out with this one with the blue tip before we start the next dive. And hello, this is the dead one I was talking about. So in the middle we see a beautiful, looks like yellow or green acro, but on the base, if you look underneath, that is an enormous dead acropora skeleton tabling one, which it has sprung up from. Maybe it's the last little piece that's still living, and then even another bird's nest one on top of that. So it's pretty cool to see how the old skeleton becomes the base for the new coral to begin. This is the really dead coral I saw, and it looked really dead. It wasn't like freshly bleached. It was old and really covered over. This rock I think is covered in a maze brain, and then it almost looks like someone's back, like someone bending over, and then a bunch of the feather starfish on top of that, just chilling. When you get to see one of them let go of the rock, which they very rarely do, it's magical. It's very hypnotizing to watch them swim through the water, and they're so big. Look at this yellow one. I don't recommend trying to keep them. This was one of my favorite shots of the entire trip, are these two acros, massive, probably 12 feet across, if not more, and two different species that meet together and form a bond right there. You can see the two different ones, but they're living in harmony. They kind of have met. They're probably stinging each other or not, and they just do their own thing. And it was just so cool to see. Something that we try to do in the hobby is put them together and graft them. These ones have done it naturally, and the way that the table off, they're coming out like 7 or 8 feet off the rock. How they're able to create a structure that can support the weight is really, really, really spectacular. Just a perfect little yellow stylophora, probably. I just like seeing round corals. Something about the shape is really satisfying, and there's no corals around it, so this one really stood out to me. Again, acro, star of the show. I wish I had some torch corals to show you, or some hammers or some frog spawn. None on this trip at all, not even a single one, except for the ones we saw at our wholesalers. Another type of tabling one, and this is a really cool thing to see when you see multiple ones in a row that create this field of different acros, one after another after another. This was probably the deepest coloration of any acro that I saw this time. It kind of looks like a plana, if you know what that is, Acropora plana. Not 100% sure, but I'm fairly confident that that is what we were looking at. I didn't realize it was table. And this was one of my favorite shots too, because you just get to see how many fish are really living with it. And as I get closer, they dive bomb right into it. There's probably over 100 fish living within this one species of acro, eating, pooping, feeding it constantly, and that's why they're able to look so good and healthy and grow the way they do in the ocean. So on one of our wholesalers, they were telling from frag to colonies about 3 to 4 months, from a piece as big as your thumb to a piece as big as your head. It's because they have everything they need in this water. This is where they're from. This is where they belong. So all those nutrients, all those trace elements that we are striving to hit with our ICP water analysis, with all these chemicals. Oh, I got to stop for talking and just show you this for a second. Branching Cyphastria, maybe, could be. I don't think it's Acropora. I mean, it could be, but to me it looks like branching Cyphastria. Stumped once again. March loving it when he's confused. I lied. We did find a few LPS. Here I think is a Galaxia. Solitary, living alone, with nobody to feel his wrath, his stinging tentacles that he sends out to destroy everyone around him. Or maybe he's already done the job and that's why there's nothing there. It's really cool to see one just hanging out. One lone wolf coral and a bird's nest, but not like the other ones we saw. This to me looks like what we call Ponape or Seriatopora, the Latin name. It's like pinchy is not the right way to describe it, but it's got like prickly ends. It's really pointy. Some red macroalgae. So nerdy March here looking at his, who knows, dragon's tongue, dragon's breath, dragon's nest, whatever you want to call it. Perfect example. Super duper red. Even though we're at a certain depth, we can still see the color on it beautifully. I think more than any coral. So I do have a little bit of like, oh my god, I want a piece of that, I want a piece of that, I want a piece of that. But more than anything, I wanted pieces of the macroalgae, the types that I had never seen before, because I'm on a macroalgae hunt. It's probably the last year or so where I've just become more or less obsessed with different types of macroalgae, collecting them. So if I see anyone that is different, I just want a small portion, and I don't feel so bad about taking a little piece of macroalgae. It's not like disturbing this large carpet anemone and this mama here and papa with all its little babies in it. Those things really should just be left alone. They don't need to be exported. We don't need them in our aquarium. Just let them be, some of them. There's other ones like bubble tips that just reproduce so much. Those are corals we really don't need to take any more from the wild. There's so many in the hobby already that it can't be justified, because they grow with such speed already in captivity. There's so many different types. They're so widely available. You know, customers sometimes will just give us 20, 30 nems. Here you go, March, please help me. These things are taking over my tank. Here, maybe an encrusting type of Montipora, maybe rainbow Monty, but you know, rainbow is what we see when we put it under our LED lights. We'll start to see the orange and the yellows, but definitely an encrusting species for sure, with a red digi kind of hanging out behind it. And then these little pieces, I'm not sure what they are, what sort of living creature or coral that purple and yellow thing is. I'd never seen it before. And maybe a Montipora confusa. I say that just because the way that it's fingering up, but also plating sideways. It's one of the few Monties that I know of that we see both those patterns. Usually a Monty, like a Capricornus, oh hello Regal Angel, will just plate, where digis will just finger. But the Montipora confusa, he's a little confusa. He does both. He both plates, fingers in random directions, orientations, and it's why it's such, for me, such a special coral, is because it does both the growth structures that we would expect from two very different types of Montipora. We have this tongue coral here and some more of the blue sponge. I just love this stuff. I wish we could keep it. I get sponges like this sometimes on the underside of coral, but never like a full example like this one. Now we start to run into some of these soft coral gardens, which made me feel not so bad about harvesting them, because it would be like cutting your grass and then getting upset about, you know, oh, you're losing all the grass clippings. It's just silly, because there's just an unlimited amount of grass on your front lawn. And then when you see some of these gardens of Clavularia or of green star polyp, of the Xenia, of the clove polyps, there's just an unlimited supply. Not the same for certain species of acro, like this nice yellow one. You know, they're far and few in between. I mean, there's a lot of them here on the reef, but they're not as abundant. I didn't see like, you know, fields and fields of like this red tabling acro, the one that's hanging out underneath it. You know, we find maybe 2 foot by 3 foot specimens, and then a break in the reef, and then maybe some other one. I was really surprised with the size of these sea cucumbers. This one is probably just under 3 feet long. And they're really important for the reef for keeping it clean. They go through the bottoms, they eat all the leftover waste. They are the bottom cleaners of the reef, and super important. This is one of the fields, so as far as I can see, or as the camera can see, the visibility here was probably 25 or 30 feet. It's all Kenya tree or Signularia, one or the other. I am at here, it looks like 12 meters, so about 40 feet. And this will continue from here all the way to the top of the reef. It just simply doesn't stop. This is one of the few LPS corals that I found with really nice, intense coloration, this plate coral. A lot of the plate corals were brown, white, kind of light green, but nothing with that fluorescent pop, almost like what we expect to see in our aquariums. That was the only one out of all of them that really stood out to me. That and one other LPS I'll show you at the end. Love this granulosa or Laripes. I get confused with these two species, kind of hard to tell, but just that deep purple coloration. Look at it, it's almost hiding underneath the rock, indirect light, but happier than ever. Another one of my favorite shots is just seeing this puffer hanging out, living his life, enjoying, no care in the world, no worries, no nothing, in his element. On this really cool structure, I find some fry that probably not just hatched, but very new to life, and there's got to be millions of them. I don't know what species they are, they're too small to tell, but they're so fascinating to see them like just all huddled together, ready to start their journey on the reef. And it's just like, oh, or maybe become somebody's lunch. Some of them for sure, they're not all gonna make it. That's amazing. Another one of my all-time favorite fish, these Valentini puffers. Maybe because of that movie Puff. If anyone has not seen it, I think it's on Netflix. You have to see this. If you're a hobbyist, if you like anything about fish or the reef or anything like that, you have to see it. Puff, P-U-F-F, on Netflix. It follows the life of a little Valentini puffer, much like this one, from when it's little to when it gets big. I don't know how the heck they shot it. Like, just these 10 seconds with it was hard enough for me to shoot. It's incredible the work that they've done. You have to go and watch it. Earlier when I was talking about most of them being tabling and only seeing one or two staghorns, this is one of them. I think it's a staghorn coral. Not I think, it looks like exactly what a staghorn coral should look like, but instead of tabling outwards in that horizontal fashion, we see it going up. It's got those nice longer branches, kind of a blue color, and it's a decent size. Like, it's hard to tell because a lot of the fish are quite large, but this is probably 2 feet by 2 feet, if not larger, and one of the only examples that I saw. Look how it's butt up perfectly against its contrasting cousin, the tabling one here. This is one of the deepest parts of the dive. Like I said, the deeper I went, the more fascinating acros that I would find. This is another species I hadn't encountered anywhere before, and the growth tips, although they're white, it may look like it's dying from the ends. That's actually new calcification. That's growth. So a lot of times on acros, people will say, oh my god, it's dying from the tips, it's all white. It's actually the opposite. That is a sign of health. And then my little puffer friend that I found earlier, he's still chilling there. He's still doing exactly what he's supposed to be doing, but I guess me getting a little bit too close this time got him a little bit riled up. And I love the way he swims with his dorsal fin and his tail and everything, just in this dramatic kind of fashion to make him move. I almost missed this one. I was just about to turn off the camera, and hiding in this blue sponge, look at this fish. Oh, I'm so glad that I didn't turn off the camera because I would have missed it. And he was kind of camouflaged. His color, but also the color of the sponge, other than the dots and his yellow fins, he blends quite nicely. And he's not bothered by me at all. We make eye contact in this shot, and it was a really special moment. Now this purple one really caught my attention just because of the shape and the pattern. I'm almost positive it is Echinopora, just from the little dots that we see, not a Montipora. That's kind of the giveaway for me here. And then this thing, I thought it was a coral. I got all excited to get over to it, and then as I got closer and closer, I realized, oh, maybe not a coral. Maybe some sort of macroalgae. Maybe a piece of, I don't know, pollution. I don't know what this thing was, but it got my attention. Anytime that I would see color, because you see here the plate corals very drab. We see purples and browns, but there's lots of them, and they're big. Like the tongue coral, some of them easily 2-3 feet long. They're really big, and they have complete coverage of this area. I have the urge to go and just start flipping over any of them that are flipped to help them. but I try my best not to touch anything, not to disturb them, just let the ocean do its job. The current will pick up, and some of the ones that are upright, they're going to flip, and some of the ones that are flipped over, they're going to flip back the other way, and they kind of just tumble across this reef hill. It's got a quite an incline or slope, so it's not my job to go and fix every single one. This red stuff, maybe Cyphastria, maybe not. I'm not really sure, but one of the few things, again, that have a vibrant color, like really striking, you can see it from far, and this little plate coral here that's also got some fluorescence to it. I wish I could have brought some of my Vitalis fish food underwater. You're not supposed to touch or feed anything, but I just like to see how they're going to react in the wild if they try the best fish food in the world. I keep saying that because I just got back from the factory in England. I got to see how they make it, and I'm more in love and impressed with this company than I ever have been. It would be cool to see if, is this regal angel gonna eat it? And how about these butterflies? Ooh, yeah. Aren't they stunning? Just perfect examples. Many of them, often in pairs. Now the nice thing is every single dive site was different current, different fish, different corals, and in this part we ran into the fields of Monty Cap. This is such a classic coral that we've kept in the aquarium trade as long as we've been keeping saltwater aquariums. It's probably green, can't tell at this depth really. Might be purple, again, hard to tell, but that perfect spiraling pattern. Like if you type in Monty Cap into Google and you look for that perfect image of the way they create that almost like a blossoming rose, this is what we're experiencing here. The textbook Capricornus. I love to try and get that growth pattern in aquariums. It's not always possible, and this I think is what we call Hollywood stunner, the Echinopora. I think this big one, purple one at the top of your screen here, just from the way that the polyps look and the growth structure that it's taking, I'm almost positive that is what we're looking at. And it's here in the ocean, it's not called Hollywood stunner. Corals, they don't have different names for each other, or maybe they do. Maybe they're intelligent creatures, who knows. Probably purple cap, what we call grape Montipora. It grows like an absolute weed in our tanks here. All the Monty Caps do for us, and then it kind of goes into some reds and greens, and then they begin to intermingle with bird's nests, Seriatoporas, different types of bird's nests, into this just vast, colossal mix. And look at that little feather duster that I caught right there. That's my favorite, just getting one little glimpse of something small across the array of corals. Now this is like really thin. It might be red, like what we call potato chip coral. The Latin name is escaping me right now. Pavona frondifera, that's it. And this was its time to shine. The acros are struggling to stay afloat among this red one. I've actually never seen red one. The ones that we have in the store, oh, look at that plate coral on the left for a second there with some red and purple. But the ones that we have in the store are usually green. I've only ever seen green. I didn't know that they occur in red. The color could be off again at this depth, but these acros are just barely getting by. Now this piece looks to me like pipe organ, but I didn't know that pipe organ was found in Indonesia, so it could just be like a very white Xenia, but just from the size of polyps, it's really looking like a pipe organ, Tubipora musica. And the only flower pot, Goniopora, that I saw on the many dives, we were doing 3 dives a day for like 5 or 6 days straight. This is the only one that I was able to find, and it's big. It's probably 2 feet by 2 feet. And here comes the second one. I promised you 2 staghorns on this trip. This is the green one, and I think it might be a slimer. It'd be nice to touch it and see if it slimes up. That's what it looks like to me. But again, I'm trying my best here not to touch anything. Not with my hands, not with my flippers, not with anything. Now, towards the end of this dive here, we come across one of the few real acro gardens where this one species of whatever it is has just dominated. Instead of seeing like 1 or 2 kind of tabling examples like we saw before, this one that's maybe like Acropora austera or oculis or prolifera maybe, or God knows what. This one really just took over this spot the way that we would see soft corals or other types. One of my favorite things to see. Here it is. Buckle up. What's it gonna be? Can you see it yet? First one to spot it. Look at that. Massive. Beautiful clam. Stunning coloration. Nice looking mantle. old purple coralline covered shell, surrounded, getting hugged by some, who knows, plate corals. Love it, love it, love it. And every time I see a clam, I get a little bit of water in my goggles because I can't help but smile. And it creates these dimples or these creases on my cheeks, and a little bit of water gets in just at 40 feet under the ocean, but I can't help it. They make me happy. Invertebrates are part of the fun too. We're seeing fish, we're seeing corals, we're seeing all this live stuff. Look at this long spine urchin. It's, I think, the only one that we saw hanging out underneath some orangey red rusty sponge. I was expecting to see more. Check out this lovely piece. Stands out from a mile away. You can see it. Vibrant red color, some sort of symphilia, maybe some sort of lobophilia, brain coral. It's hard to ID. It's hard to know for sure. When I order corals from overseas, I'm getting the Latin name. Look at the bubble macroalgae that's growing just above it, but it doesn't seem to mind, and probably stinging all these little plate corals that happen to get a little bit too close to it. Now, lionfish, we see them here and there. It's not really invasive the way they are in other oceans. Like I think it's in Florida, they'll pay you to catch them. They've just completely taken over. Here, once in a while, you'll catch one hanging out, but they're not really a problem. This one, I will let you guys try to name it if you like. I'm not 100% sure. I have one of these in the store, and I'm still not 110% sure what it is. I was so happy to see this one. It was not that deep. We call this deep water. This is on the way up from a dive. It's Acropora carduus, or bottlebrush, or dragon's sort of acro, or needle in the haystack, or Pac-Man, whatever. They have so many different names, but that just quintessential, almost like enchilada looking shape, really not that deep. Now, there's so much noise under the water. These fish are talking, chirping. I'm sure they're able to communicate because you can just hear constantly back and forth, chirping like birds. And the way the sound moves through the water, it makes me confident that they're able to communicate. I love this feeling when you just have a school of fish wrap around you, come to you, greet you. They're not shy at all. And this was one of the nicest shots. I don't know what fish this is exactly, but they were just circling us, just coming to say, hey, what's up, guys? If I haven't already said it, I have to say thank you to everyone that watches the channel. 51,000 subscribers from the moment from right now, and I can't believe that it's grown so much. And these videos, these trips, and all of what I do would not be possible without you guys, without the amazing staff that I have at the shop, from past, current, and the ones that are to come. The store is always changing, but you guys especially that watch and make all of this possible, because I wouldn't be recording it, I wouldn't be traveling the world, and I wouldn't be doing it if it wasn't for the love and support from you guys. So thank you very much from the bottom of my heart. And I try to capture some fish footage for the fish guys out there, because I realize that not everyone is into corals, not everyone is as obsessed with corals the way I am. So I did my best to try and get fish footage as well. But then ADHD kicks in. I see Hollywood Stunner again, bigger example, and the fish take the back seat, and I'm off to go see it and get as close as I can to comfortably record it. The fish really special. So many different species. I wasn't expecting to see. It's just overwhelming. You don't know where to look, you don't know what to record. The excitement, but at the same time trying to breathe slowly, be responsible, take your time. It is overwhelming for someone with pretty strong ADHD, as you guys know from the channel. Okay, if there's one coral that I could have taken a piece of, I think it would be this one here. It looks like a red Raja Rampage, some sort of Echinopora, the way it's plating. It's got those eyes. I'm confident it's a chalice. Maybe it's not red. Maybe it is just Raja Rampage. Who knows? Because the colors are all distorted at this depth. But if there's one piece, it said, hey, March, if there's only one that you could take, if you could responsibly harvest and get a frag back to Canada, it would have been that one right there. Carnation coral. You ever see these in the shop? Leave them alone. Don't buy them. Don't support them. You can't keep them in captivity unless you are really diehard to keep a non-photosynthetic tank. They're stunning. I didn't see many of them on this trip. They are really beautiful, and for most hobbyists, I would say just leave them alone. Store owners, leave them alone. Just let them be in the ocean. There's so many other corals you can import. There's so many other pieces. Just leave these. Nobody has long-term success with them. Nobody trades them into us. You don't see, ORA or Top Shelf or anyone, culturing them and growing them out long-term. Certain corals there's just no need, right? They're just kind of like cut flowers. Hello, what are you? Christmas Monty? Maybe Season's Greeting, Capricornus, who knows? Green with red polyps. But certain corals, it's just not going to happen. Okay, I'm just saying it. I'm just going to call a spade a spade. You got to be responsible aquarium keepers. I had somebody recently, oh man, what a stunning fish. Look at that. Incredible. I had someone recently threatened to throw out a sea urchin because he was unhappy with the color of it. Threatened to throw out a live animal. Like, it was the most disgusting email interaction, most disgusting customer I've ever had, and I just can't believe someone would do that over the color, even after I gave him a refund. Like, we have to remember, these are living. They have lives of their own, and like this fishy, they deserve our respect. And for some reason, fish get the short end of the stick out of all the animals out there. We don't see fish welfare activists. The oceans get treated like our dumping ground. They don't get cared for, like any other animals. There's still a debate if fish can feel pain. Why? Of course they feel pain. I'm convinced they have emotions. I've been spending my entire life taking care of them, being around fish. They are intelligent. I'm telling you, they can for sure communicate. And why not? They've been on this earth longer than just about everything else out there. How selfish would it be to think that they don't have intelligence? Why would we think they're dumb? They're not dumb. I've seen a fish. Look at the sea turtle. Hello, buddy. I saw a fish once get depressed because his mate jumped. Sorry, no, the mate died. It was two clownfish. They were together for many years. One of them died. The other one stopped eating. It stopped swimming normally. This fish was suffering, I'm telling you, from depression. And then it jumped out. It committed suicide because it lost its mate. Now, if that isn't intelligence, emotional intelligence, I don't know what is. Speaking about responsible aquarium keeping, take all the clove polyps you want from the ocean. You are never going to make a dent. If every hobbyist out there took a garbage bag full, I'm telling you, you're going to help. If you ever kept an aquarium and you just had one coral maybe you shouldn't have put in, like a xenia or something that just really took over and kind of ruined the tank for you, I feel like that's what happened with clove polyps on this portion of the reef. Nobody else has any real estate. They've completely dominated here. Even the plate corals that are dominant in other parts. Ooh, hold on. Look at this one with this purple and white polyps. It's not that beautiful. When it comes to plate corals, the shape's kind of stupid, but just different. Beautiful in a different way. Anyways, we're coming to the end of the last dive here with a couple different types of like green branching Cyphastria. God knows what. There's just so much coral. There was just so much to see. I'm going to wrap it up. Guys, this was a pleasure and an honor sharing with you. I need thumbs up. I need sharing. I need all that social stuff, because otherwise I won't know to do these again. I'll just go on a dive trip and I'll leave the camera at home. If you guys like it and you want to see more like this, more of this style of video, underwater commentary, then let me know and I'm happy to do it for you. That's it. We'll wrap up this episode underwater of Fragbox TV, and I hope to see you guys back here on the next one. Bye for now.